Hey everyone, it's Jack, and today I'm out at the Fedora website because I'd like to take a peek at Fedora 36, the pre-release, which is out now, and this looks really interesting to me. The pre-release, of course, features GNOME 42, and one thing I really like about the Fedora type distros is that they have the latest kernel and very up-to-date software and everything, and the RPM package is a very popular format. To me, Fedora kind of offers the best of both worlds. It's kind of like you get the newness of Arch and the stability of Debian. It's kind of like the perfect combination of both. And of course, it's backed by the Red Hat team as well, so it's got a lot of weight behind it when it comes to the developers and so forth. Fedora is something I've always kind of liked. Even though I'm not a big GNOME fan, I do love their spins, and I might even take a quick peek at the spins as well. So here at the website, I'm at their main page. Here you got three different categories. You got the workstation, server, and IoT, which is the Internet of Things. And of course, we want to look at the workstation, but up here you can see that we got our beta link here for the preview of 36, and so that's kind of where we want to go. But we actually just click the button here on the workstation, and then here that we have our choices. So we have like our 35, and then here we also can download a Fedora media writer if you're a Windows or Mac OS user, so you can easily burn this onto a USB stick. Otherwise, you can just take the ISO file and load it into a virtual box if you know how to do that. Either way, they make it really easy to test this out. And so here we got information on the media writer and so forth. So they really do make it easy to get you to burn this onto a stick, especially if you're not a Linux user and you just want to try something different. So I can't wait to try this out. I've already downloaded the 36 from here, and the 36 by default is the GNOME environment, but I'm also gonna just maybe grab the spins as well. So I went back here to the home page, and if you scroll down near the bottom, here you have a category called spins. And so here you can get the other type desktops available as well, such as Xfce, Cinnamon, KDE, and so forth. So there is the KDE Plasma desktop. And of course, we want to click Test It Now because those are the 36. So to get into the 36, we click that link, and then here we can see KDE Plasma, Xfce, LX, Qt, Cinnamon, Mate. So, and these spins are really great. I really love these spins, and I'm gonna just grab a copy of Xfce and Cinnamon as well. So that way we can just kind of take a look at three major spins here after we check out the GNOME version. Okay, so now I'm going to boot into our environment here, and so this is our first image. This is the main one we're looking at, and this is the GNOME environment, and we'll go ahead and just install this in too so we can see the installer and how it works, because it's a little bit different than the Calamares, and so this might be helpful to just kind of see the install real quick. We'll let this boot into it, and then we get this screen here. And so right off the bat, you can kind of see the GNOME environment, and we can either try it or install. And I'm just going to hit install here so we can just get right into the installer, pop this in, and then we'll explore. So here's our installer. It just opened up, and here you can see up in the corner that this is a pre-release, and there's the pop-up. So it's letting you know this is an unstable pre-release software. But, you know, from my previous experience, Fedora is rarely unstable, even when it's in their pre-release stage there. So I'm going to select that disk and hit done, and oh, still didn't see it. I guess I missed something. So let me go back up here again. Got to select the disk, and then did I miss anything? No. Then I should just be able to hit done here. So maybe that just didn't take before, and we'll see what it does. Okay, that's better. So it's showing our installation options here and the different sizes, but we got to reclaim space because this is already being used, this drive. There's a previous install of another operating system. So I'm going to click reclaim space, and this can be confusing to people that aren't familiar with this installer. So now we have a layout of our drive. So what I want to do here is I need to delete the space on here first. So I just come over here and hit delete all, and then that frees it up. Now I can hit reclaim space, and there we go. So now it's gone ahead and prepared that for us. So I'll hit next, And now it's going to start the install. So easy peasy. So I'm going to let this do its thing, and then when it's done installing, I'll be right back. Okay, the install is complete. So I'm just going to go ahead and let this restart. And then if everything went okay, then we can continue, which I'm pretty sure it did. Okay, we're going into our restart now. So if all went well, we should be coming up to probably continue our install, because we still got to set our username and all that stuff. So I'm thinking that's probably what we're going to get next here, because we didn't have to do any of that previously. Okay, so here we are. Welcome to Fedora 36. Nice. So I'm going to hit the Start Setup. And then these are our privacy settings. Personally, I'm okay with the location services and problem reporting, so I'm going to just hit Next with that. And then here we can install our third-party repos. I like this because you can add in the RPM Fusion and other repositories. I think Flatpak too. That kind of takes care of it right in the beginning, and I like that. Here we have our online accounts, and I'm just gonna skip that. And then we'll just give ourselves a username. We'll call it Toadwake, my usual silly name. Hit Next, and then we'll give it a password. So I'm just gonna do that. Hit Next, and that's it. We're all done. Yes. So I'm gonna hit this, let it restart, and then we should be good to go. I guess I didn't have to restart. It just kind of went right into it. So let's take a tour real quick. I think their tours are short and sweet. So here we got, welcome to the key features of 36. So we can get an overview here. Press the super key to open the windows. And by the way, super A will get you directly into the menu. Here they talk about a search. So you can simply just search and find your apps quickly from the menu. And then they talk about workspaces, which are available, and they kind of scroll horizontally, which is nice. And then you got your up and down gestures for an overview, like on your finger touchpad, or you can go side to side for horizontal swipes, 3 fingers, and that's it. So have a nice day. All right, we're looking at our desktop here. This is our typical GNOME desktop. So if we click up here, you can kind of see our activities area and our main menu down here at the bottom. So we got Firefox, Calendar, App Center, and then this is our menu here. So we can see all these different apps. Not too many apps. It's just kind of the right balance. They give you just the apps you need, kind of the essentials, which I like, and then that's a utilities folder. So looking very sharp. And here's our utilities, fonts and characters and all that good stuff. And here's our terminal. So I'm going to open that up real quick. And let's just take a look at our kernel and see what we're running. So if I do a uname -r, we got 15.7.00, and that's before the update. I think it's probably going to update to around 0.2 or something like that. And if we look at our top, we're running about 1.2 gigs there, it looks like, in space, in memory. So that's pretty typical, I guess, for RAM. That's kind of about what I'd expect on a GNOME system. And the overall theming looks really nice too. I do like that. And then here we got our calendar. And you can set up events and everything like that. I always like their calendar. And they have this weather thing. So when you click on that, it brings up this weather. So you got a little bit of an embedded weather into the app there, which is nice. And I don't live there, but that'll work for me. So I'm going to hit that. I could actually add the city in. But I'm impressed that this actually works, because a lot of times when I get on GNOME and use their weather app, it never works for me. Even if I put a major city in there like Tampa, it won't work for me. I don't know why, but never had luck with it. But it looks like it's working now, so that's impressive. I'm glad to see that. Maybe they've kind of improved something there. Cool. So I guess if I click on this again, there it is. The weather is down there in the lower right corner. I'm liking that. And clicking on it, I think will open up a external window. And then you can see the hourly forecast there. Nice. Got your burger menu if you want to change your temperature unit and so forth. And then we have our daily look. So there's a nice snapshot for the week ahead. Cool. All right. So I'm liking that. Typically, I see the little weather applet just kind of within the panel itself, but this is kind of integrated into the calendar, and I think that's cool too. I don't mind that at all. And then here we have our settings and other things here for the icons here in our sys tray. And so if we hit our settings, we could just kind of take a peek at what's in here. This should be pretty typical for your GNOME settings and so forth. So here we start off with our network, and we got Bluetooth, and then appearance. I think this has some new features for 42. Yeah, we can switch our light and dark themes. I like that. So you can kind of go between the two themes. So if I go down here, and I'm just going to open up my file manager real quick, and nice looking theming there. And if I hit dark, then we can go right straight to dark. That's really cool. I think that's a nice improvement there. And getting a little funkiness with my wallpaper pictures there, but I think that's actually my settings in my back end there for the virtual. So I'm going to probably change that when I have to do a reboot. And then those should all be straightened up and good to go. But if I was going to click on one of them, you can kind of see the background change. And so even though I got my background, my graphic settings a little screwed up, when I fix that on the restart, that'll be good. So that has nothing to do with Fedora, not their fault. That's me. And so here's our updater. This is our DNF Degora, I think, updater. So I can just hit restart and update. And I think I'm going to do that first because I recommend you always kind of run those updates right off the bat. So I'm going to hit that. And I do like the fact that it restarts and updates in this case, especially because it's going to be updating the kernel and so forth. So if we run this, it should probably go into an updater, and there it is. So it'll kind of install its updates, and it shouldn't take too long. Not like you poor Windows users who have to sometimes sit there for hours. Take the day off until your computer's done. This should be relatively quick. So I'm just going to kind of let it do its update here. And we're already up at 37%, 40. And once this is finished, I'll just come right back. And then we're at 60, 64. So I think this updater, this is kind of unique compared to other distros, because a lot of distros, this is the only one I've seen that actually has this kind of style on a restart for the updates. And I know I did a video a long time ago where I thought that kind of scared me, but now that some time has passed, I see that the updater really is not bad at all. It's really no different than the updater you get like in the App Store on your phone. And somebody pointed that out to me a long time ago. Hikari Plays, I think, was the person that pointed that out. And I always remembered that because I thought that was a great analogy. It really is different than the Windows type thing there. And of course, if you do an update in the terminal, you can avoid that anyways if it really bothers you. So anyway, looks like the update went successfully, so we're going to just boot right in here again into the desktop. And there's our login. So I'll just hit enter here and then type in my password, hit enter, and then with luck, we'll be back in the desktop without anything exploding. Ugh. All right, looks good. So let's look at our App Store real quick now that we're back in. This ought to look kind of cool. Oh yeah, I forgot to change my settings. Rats. So I'm going to shut down real quick and just change my display settings, and then I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back, and now it looks normal. So I fixed my settings there. Yeah, so now we're good. Okay, so here's our App Store, and this is Gnome Software, I believe. And here we have all the different categories: document scanner, Inkscape, and let's see if it's the newest, which it should be, give or take. So there we go, 1.1.2, and that's great. That's exactly what I would expect to see if I was in an Arch install. So I like the fact that we have access to the really new software. And then we have our different categories here, codecs. So these are all installed because during the installer we selected the option to install the third-party stuff. So there's a result, and got all our GStreamer and even GStreamer multimedia. And then H.64 is not installed. I think I'll just install that. I don't know how vital that is, but to me it seems like that would be something I'd want to have on here if this was like my daily driver. There we go, easy peasy. And then here we can look at our software repos and we can see the stuff that's added. And I think RPM Fusion is installed because of the selection we made during the install. Otherwise, I recommend adding RPM Fusion, which you can get at the RPM Fusion website, and simply copy and paste from there. Easy. So here's our third-party repos, and they're enabled. So that's the easiest way to get your RPM Fusion, is just go back here and then select enable, and then it'll enable all of these and set them up for you. So you got FlatHub and the RPM. Nice. So then we have our hardware drivers that you can add in if you like. Nice selection of categories here. And of course, this is kind of where a more advanced user might want to go back in. But these are input, so if you have a secondary language, that's pretty cool. And if I scroll down here, you can see I got Pinyin there, selected by default. And that's nice. I like that that's in there by default. Now, most people probably wouldn't use anything Chinese related, but I like the fact that the Pinyin is already there, makes it easy to access. And then back here on our desktop, I just pressed the Super A key, and that took me directly into the menu. So that's the hotkey. If you want to get just directly into the menu, you don't want to screw around with hitting activities and then selecting it. That'll save you a little time. And so here in our utilities, we got disk usage, characters, and we were kind of in here before, but we got the essentials here. And then here's our media writer. So right now those are some kind of presets if you want to just kind of do a preset install of Fedora 35, or you can select your own. And then our system monitor. And so this is nice if you just want to maybe look at your tasks and see what's running, if anything's burning up CPU. This is your overall resource monitor. And then your disks. So these are how much space are being used on your disk so far, which isn't that much. Very cool. And then of course you'd hit end process there if there was something you wanted to force end, or you got kill. So sometimes a process that's really kind of hanging on you won't shut down after you hit end. So kill will do the trick. And so then overall, let's go into our settings. And so now you can see the wallpaper now that I fixed the graphics in my virtual back end there. So this is what it should look like. And as you can see, you got a dark version and a light mode version. So while you're in dark mode, all these wallpapers will be kind of subdued. In light mode, then the wallpaper shows up much brighter. And so that's kind of cool. It kind of matches the mode that you're in. However, if you're in dark mode and you want the wallpaper to be really bright, I don't see any way to do that. So I don't think they gave you that option. So it's going to be dark no matter what. So whether that's a good thing or not, I don't know. I know Gnome isn't real big on giving you choices, but I'm okay with it. I don't think it's a big deal that it's darker like that, but I would like to have the choice. But not a deal killer for me. And then over here, we got our search settings. You can set up your hot corners, boxes, which I think is kind of the GNOME virtualization front end there for KVM, I think. And then there's where you can turn on your location services or turn them off if you decide you don't like them, and access to your apps and so forth. And then our online accounts. So if you have any online accounts that you kind of want to set up, you got a lot of presets there. And then our sound settings, of course. And then our sharing. Sharing is nice here. So if you want to do file sharing or share your desktop for remote users, that's an easy place to go in there and kind of set it up. So it's already kind of pre-configured. And then our sound levels here. So we got our microphone settings and speaker and all that. And then these default sounds here. Nice. And I think by default it was at drip, if I remember right. Then our power settings, display settings. So this is where you can go if you need to change your resolution and so forth. Your scaling. And then we got night light. If you like your brightness to be a little warmer at night, you can set it there. And then this is our mouse settings. So you can go in here and kind of test things out. I'm using my scroll wheel right now on my mouse. And then you click it here and it'll show that you're clicking your primary button. And then I can double click and it'll tell me that I double clicked it. So that's kind of a nice, friendly looking little test there. And then a right click. So then it's telling me that I did a single click on the secondary button. And then we have our keyboard settings, and I think they're all good at default. And then you can set up your printer here. Of course, there's no printer hooked up to this machine. And then we got remote media, removable media settings, and default again is good. And our regional settings are here. So all the typical GNOME stuff. Here's where you can change your picture, your avatar, and you just hit unlock up there and I'll let you do that, which we've done many times in other videos. And then our default applications, date and time, and then about. So here's kind of showing what we got here, and it's showing that we're running Wayland for our windowing system by default, and we're running GNOME 42, the newest, latest, greatest. Very good. So now let's take a peek at, let's take a look at the Xfce version, just to kind of compare. And this will just be like a quick comparison. So I'm going to power this off, load in the Xfce image. All right, now here we are. We're in our Xfce desktop. Nice. So this is what our Xfce desktop is by default. I'm going to open up this file browser too. And we have a panel at the bottom and then the main panel at top. So this kind of can appeal to Mac users as well, probably. So we got our mostly used apps on the bottom there, and our terminal is showing that we're only using 555 megs of RAM there on our initial startup here. So that's really nice. That's half of what we were using in Gnome. Not bad. And then here we got our nice looking icons again, and then our panel up on top. There's our sys tray and our volume settings, internet, ethernet, presentation mode if you don't want notifications. And then here's our menu, and this looks like the standard Xfce menu as opposed to like the Whisker menu. So this takes up less space. It's more minimalistic here. But of course you don't have your little search window in there kind of by default. And then we got our settings. And so by default we're using Adwaita, but we can change that to Adwaita Dark if you like a dark theme there. And here on our icons, by default, we're using Adwaita. But again, they give you more choices, and it looks like they have a lot of Mint X themes in here for your icons, which are nice. So you can go down here and kind of change the color. They look pretty good. You got Mint X Dark, probably which is more suited for a dark theme. And so we got lots of color choices here. You can use dark sand, and I like that. That's kind of cool. I might go with that. Very nice. So I'm going to hit that, and then come up here to applications again. And as you can see, it's kind of our generic look. But if we go to panel here and right click and select panel preferences, we can go into our items. And maybe I'm going to add in the Whisker menu because I kind of like that one better. So I'm just going to do that. And the main reason I'm doing this is just to show you how to do it in case you want to have a prettier menu. So now I added that in from the items list. That was Whisker menu. And I'm just going to drag that over here. And the applications menu is right there. And so I'm going to delete that out of there. So I'm going to hit remove, and that'll take out the old applications menu. And now we have our Whisker menu. And then I'm going in settings here, and I'm going to select show as icons because I kind of like the grid look. And then under appearance, I'm going to put position categories next to the panel button. That gives me a more traditional layout. And then there's your icon. If you want to change that, you can click that. But I think it's good. And then switch categories by hovering. That's another thing I like to have set. Then I'm going to hit close and close. And now if we come up here to the Whisker menu, yeah, that looks nicer. And see the categories are changing while I hover over them, which is another thing I set. We got our little search on the bottom there. So nice. And then we have our panel. So this is something, some people like the panel down there, some people don't. If you don't like the panel, you can go into panel preferences and then simply delete it right there. You can remove that panel and it'll disappear. And that'll be gone. And then if you wanted this panel on the bottom, all you have to do is, again, go back into panel preferences and then unlock the panel right here by unchecking that box. And then you get this little handle and you can just drag it down to the bottom. And then you got that traditional look. And then when you go to the Whisker menu, you got the menu right there where a lot of people expect to find it. So that's how you would do that in case you wanted to change your look and you didn't like the panel at the bottom. And so I thought I'd share that too, just in case you didn't know how to do that. So Xfce is really something that integrates very well here with Fedora. I do like the way Fedora did it, and they got a minimal installs here on software, just your basics. So that way you can go into the App Center, DNF Fedora, and just kind of select what you want and add in the apps that you like. But at the same time, I'm going to stretch that out a little. You got your essentials. And by the way, when you stretch this menu, you can make it wider too or longer, and it'll save that position. So if I go out here and then I go back into the menu, you can see that it saved the height and width there. So those menus are very easily adjustable. So overall, we got a really nice look here. Something I would enjoy. I would like the FC using the Xfce here in Fedora as well. And Xfce is one of my favorite desktop environments. I think the other thing I would do is I would go in here and in the window manager tweaks, I like to go down here and where it says opacity of windows during a move, I like to back that off a little bit to make it a little more transparent when you drag it. That just kind of gives it an overall more modern feel to it. So I like that. That's another thing I would probably tweak right off the bat there in Xfce. So yes, that's a sneak peek at Xfce. So now I'm going to move on to Cinnamon. I'm rebooting into the Cinnamon image here, and let's see how Cinnamon looks. There we go. Cinnamon is about to pop in. And a very nice looking desktop. This is quite beautiful right off the bat. So here's our Cinnamon environment, and just opened up our file manager here, and it looks like we're already in a dark theme right off the bat. Liking that. Here's our Cinnamon menu, and again, looks like we got a nice minimal install of apps, no bloat at all. There's our web browser, Firefox, and our Office programs, sound and video. Looks like it comes with a media player, administration, preferences, and then places. So these are different places we can access our file browser right off the bat. And let's look at our settings real quick. So here's our Cinnamon settings here on the desktop, and there's our backgrounds. If you want to change your backgrounds, they got them all kind of categorized there. And then here's our effects, and I would leave all the effects just kind of at their default. I think Cinnamon is great right at their defaults. And then these are our theme settings. So we got our window borders, which I like the way the window is styled right now. So I would leave that. And then here's our icons. Again, we got tons of different choices here for icons. Something I really like. And then we got our red, so we could make them red over here. You can kind of see in the file browser. And then yellow. Yellow looks pretty good too, actually. And then there's our sand. I like the sand. That goes nice with it too. Very good. So many colors to choose from. There's pink for the dark theme, and then there's the same with a gradient effect. So if you like gradients, you kind of got choices of your colors in gradient or flat. And then there's purple, and that looks really cool. I think I could go with the purple. And we got our button settings and our theme settings here, and you can also your cursor and all that. So I could select the theme setting to match the purple if I wanted to. And then if we go back here, you can see overall all the typical settings here that go with Cinnamon desktop. That's good to know. Beautiful. Really impressed with this. I might actually like this spin the best out of what I've seen in here. I've also run the KDE spin before, and it's pretty nice too, but I don't think it's as nice as a Cinnamon, in my personal opinion. Here I'm going to adjust my panel height, and so I right-clicked on the panel there and selected the settings. And so I beat that up to 33, and that looks better. I think I'm good with that. So I'm going to right-click again, go back in my settings, and choose applets. And then in applets, I'm going to select the download here. And what this will do is this will download more applets that are available on the internet. And there's a couple I really like. One of them is the Cinnamon menu. It's even a cooler menu than the default Cinnamon menu, which I really like. A weather app is another thing I like. But mainly right here, I just kind of want to get the Cinnamon menu and show that to you. But since I'm in here, I'll select the weather app too, just for download. And then Cinnamon menu, hit again the down arrow, and then that'll download those. And then when I go back to manage, you can see them in the list. So to add that, just select it and then hit the plus button there. And then it'll show up down there in the taskbar. So if I close that, then I want to move that back over to where the other menu is. So I'm going to right click again, select panel edit mode. And now I can move that. All I got to do is just grab that and move it down to the corner. Nice. And then we can take our old menu. I'm just going to right click and select remove and say yes. Okay. And then this is our show desktop. And I kind of like that at the other end. So I'm just going to grab that and drag it down because we're still in panel edit mode. And I'm just going to set it right there at the end. That's kind of where I like that. Now, before I can do anything, I need to right click and turn off the panel edit mode. Now I can go in here and look at our menu, and there it is. Wow, how cool is that? And as you can see, as I hover over, I actually got to click on these categories to change them. So if I want them to change by hovering, all I got to do is right click, select configure. And then up here, we got our settings. So here's our grid setting. That's where it's at by default, but you can also use a list. I like the grid, so I'm leaving it there. And so these are our various other settings, which I probably wouldn't change. But under behavior, here we got activate categories on click. So I'm going to turn that off. So that way I don't have to click the categories to change. So now if I go down here, See how the categories automatically change now as I hover over the categories. That's cool. Up here they have something called Open Menu on Hover. So if you don't want to click on the menu, you can actually turn that on and just hover over the menu down there, the icon, and it'll open up your menu automatically. So that's kind of cool too. Of course, if you feel that's a little much, you can just turn it back off and then you just click it again. So that's for the menu. And then activate categories on click is what you want to turn off if you want to hover and change. And then you got your appearance settings here, which again, I think all the defaults are pretty nice, but if you want to change your icons or something, that would be the place to do it for your menu icon. So really a beautiful looking desktop. I got to tell you, I'm impressed. I'm opening up the console and we're using 876. So that's pretty good too for Cinnamon, because Cinnamon is going to be a little bit heavier than Xfce, of course, but not nearly as heavy as Gnome. And so a pretty nice bit of resource usage there overall. And then here we have our other settings, like our clock, our sound settings there, our calendar. And if we hit our date and time, we can tweak our clock a little bit if we wanted to. Like if we wanted to show seconds, then we can select that, and there we have that going on. So that's pretty nice. And then our network settings. So that's kind of where those basic settings are. And typically I leave those pretty much at default. I do like the seconds showing though on the clock. So that's something I typically adjust for myself. And so that's the Cinnamon environment. So I'm telling you, all three of these desktops that I looked at, I'm really impressed all the way around on all of them. Fedora has never let me down on having great looking desktops and great integration on all the different spins that they've had. I always liked looking at the Fedora spins. In fact, personally, I like their spins better than the Gnome one because I'm not a huge Gnome fan, but even their Gnome is set up really nice. So if I was wanting to use the Gnome environment and you like the Gnome environment, I don't think you'll be disappointed at all. In fact, from what I've seen so far, I don't even feel like this is a pre-release. It just seems so stable and problem-free already. And I know you can't really make a judgment in just an hour of using something. However, typically if it has major problems, you're going to run into something right off the get-go, even though it might be minor. And I didn't even run into even a little minor glitch. And to me, that's super impressive. So overall, I am giving the new Fedora pre-release a double thumbs up. This is really an impressive distro, and I would absolutely, definitely use this on any computer in the house, for sure. In fact, I'm going to probably put it on a laptop or something because I really want to follow this further, and it really makes me want to say, I can't wait for the 36 release official. So I'm going to keep an eye on this for sure. And I think this is going to be a great one for Fedora. I know sometimes you get a release every once in a while that people say, meh. But with this one, I'm excited about it. So I think 36 probably has a real bright future already. And if you haven't tried it yet, heck, download that ISO and burn it onto a thumb drive or load it into a virtual environment and just try it out and play with it for a while. You might find that you like it even better than where you're at now. And again, like I might have mentioned at the beginning of the video, to me, a Fedora has that perfect sweet spot. It's got that newness like you get in Arch. You got all the newest software and the newest kernel, give or take a week or two, available to you, just like that. And yet, you got that rock stability that you get in Debian. In Debian, you kind of got to sacrifice some of the newness for having stability, which can be kind of a downer if you really like new software and having the latest stuff. Whereas in Arch, you get the latest stuff, but sometimes you lose that stability. You run an update and everything goes haywire on you. So yeah, those are kind of the disadvantages. But with Fedora, you know, you kind of feel like you're in that sweet spot and you kind of don't tend to have those kind of issues, at least in my experience anyways. So Fedora 36 pre-release, I give you a double thumbs up again. And I hope this review was helpful. And if it was, don't forget to hit that thumbs up and hit subscribe. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.